This one, when it hangs, obviously, and you can't really get around it, but the house actually spins. And so that is part of its movement too. And again, that light, so the shadow, think about the shadow, it almost becomes like a strobing, excuse me, kind of effect. And that's part of its life too. Woodworking. This is a little relief piece that I did. I made the frame also. The frame is in Portisano, and then the piece itself is basswood, pomegranate. This is a detail of a piece. The name of this piece is The Weight of the Sullied Hearts of Men, and it's a ram skull. It kind of sounds like rascal, but it's a ram skull. And it is the Sacred Heart with its leather that's been tooled. And I wanted it to be about sort of the craziness of these thorny things, and about sort of how it's kind of a religious piece about how crazy religion can be sometimes. It's taken from the scapegoat. Oh, here it is in full size. The scapegoat in ancient times, they would put all the sins of the people onto a poor little goat and then send it out into the wilderness to die. And so we take all the sins of the people with them. And so this is sort of my version of the scapegoat. Oh, and here we are back, of course. I'm sorry there's no installations on here, because a lot of my work is installations. But you can go to my website, judybonzi.net, and see installations there. And so there you go. Any questions?
Where do you work?
Pardon?
Where do you work? Are you in Vermont?
Oh, no, I'm in Los Angeles. Standing invitation, anyone goes out there, you can stay with us. Hugh's stayed with us a million times. Studios at my chart, having studios and stuff like that. It's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing. I can work out there until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and then kind of stagger into bed. And I can just walk across the lawn and there I am. And it's kind of a curse because you can never distance yourself. Sometimes I find I'll be at my house for 3 or 4 days at a time and not even leave. And I'll be getting fever in Los Angeles. So, it's a critical thing when you start thinking about your studio. How you're going to set it up, how much square footage you need, whether you need clean space, dirty space. When I'm working in wood, it's a mess. I've got shavings everywhere, and so it's hard to contain your mess sometimes. Working in the leather, it's clean space, so it's hard. Working in the maquettes for the bronze, it's again a clean space thing. So you really have to find these intricate balances that happen with your work, and studios in particular need to be pretty well thought out. There you go. Thank you.
Not like William, so. But you want me to? That would be great. Yeah. Because you could probably do it better than I can. I came to Middlebury about 40 years ago, which actually chokes me to say. And I was one of the first class of students who went 4 years through this building, the Johnson Art Center, which has been built. And I figured that's why they accepted me, so they needed some art majors. I was an art major and made the decision not to go to art school because I wanted a broad base of education. I knew or at least I didn't think I wanted to make art a career. I had no ambition about it, going further with it. And even while I was here, I did independent study most of the time in my dorm room. So I never even painted in the studios here because I found it really distracting, and I didn't like painting around other people. I wasn't accustomed to that. So I never mingled or made relationships with the professors or with other students. So in a lot of ways, I missed out on the whole art culture here. I don't remember whether I didn't take the courses or they weren't offered, but I don't remember having available to me courses in the basics of painting, like composition, color, values, edges, and all of that sort of thing. I was a very realistic, or I should say, representational painter, and in those days, it wasn't a style that was really embraced. And a lot of the instruction was to go do your own thing. So I didn't get a lot of technical knowledge about how to paint perspective and how to do the kind of work that I like to do. And I think I just didn't have the maturity or the drive in my art at that time to really squeeze out the most of what I could have had for an art experience here. So that was my fault. But I really didn't think I wanted to make art a career. So graduated from Middlebury, got married right after graduation to a Middlebury student. And spent my 20s running a small family farm, raised all our own vegetables, and I raised sheep for about 30 years actually. And then in my 30s, had 2 kids and spent my 30s mostly as a mother, and still running the farm. I worked for as a veterinary technician, did some volunteer work for Vermont's Fish and Wildlife programs. I liked the outdoors, I like nature, wildlife, and birds. And did some work along the way, just whenever I felt like it. And most of my early work was wildflowers. I got a friend who got me interested in submitting entries for the duck stamp contest, which sounded like a good idea to me because you could make a lot of money if you won. It was very prestigious, and it dovetailed my interest in nature. So still wasn't interested in doing anything with the art, and really it was because I wanted to learn about so many different things. I didn't want to limit myself to just art, and I always knowing I had talent for it, I envied people who had that single-minded passion to do nothing but art. They knew they wanted to do that forever, and I didn't feel that way. I didn't always feel like painting. And so then life has a way of giving you what you need, not what you want. And my first husband left, and I was a single mom and needed to have an income. And since I couldn't afford to go back to school and learn something, the only thing I felt qualified to do was paint. So I dove in and decided to see if I could actually make a go of it before I went and worked at McDonald's or something, while I was still getting child support. And that was in '88. And in 1990, after submitting entries for the Federal Duck Stamp competition every year after year after year, doing these little designs that go on the waterfowl stamp, I won in 1990. I remarried. My kids were about 6 or 7, and it was just a huge event. If you don't know about the Duck Stamp contest, it has a history. It started back in 1934. It was first commissioned, and then it became a contest. And as time went on, they made prints from the winning entry, and it became very lucrative for the winner. So I had to get a publisher because that's where you make your money. And I saw it as an enormous opportunity to, I felt I'd been given a big opening to step into, that I had the exposure and the visibility, and now I had the money to really work on my art.